A long time ago I decided to boot up Skyrim and do something different. Max difficulty, no saving, no loading. Let's see how far I can get on one life. It wasn't very far. Avoiding the horrible dangers of the wild, such as quietly grazing deer and cute furry foxes, I made it to Whiterun, turned right at the river, and got jumped by 2 thugs. Under fear of death, I found myself fighting more tactfully. It added a little spice to Skyrim's bland combat. But it was a losing battle, so I tried to run, but I couldn't escape. This was it, the end of my pathetic life, just a few minutes after it had begun. Except... as the current carried me to safety, I thought about how it was an epic moment like that of a movie, one I'd never had in a game before except in forced, scripted sequences. Regular save, die, and load games communicate exactly when they want you to run, and every other time you'll fight to the death. It's black and white, run or fight. Permadeath games, roguelikes, roguelites, Iron Man games, even games like RimWorld and whatever Prey Moon Crash is, introduce a grey area, where the game doesn't tell you when to run, but instead asks you a question. Should you run? 2 security drones I can deal with, but if in the chaos of the fight I touch the sand, the excitingly overpowered moonshark will burrow up from the ground, and I'm screwed. Do I fight, or should I run? From games, questions are so much better than commands, because questions beg the player to come up with their own answer, and to express themselves. And this question, should you run, can only exist when the player has something to lose. In regular gaming, the player has no reason to flee. You'll take on tough fights because they have rewards but no consequences. If it goes badly, you'll reload or go back to a checkpoint, making it so the fight never happened. You'll now either grind out a victory, making a once thrilling encounter boring through repetition, or avoid the encounter, bookmarking it for later when you're stronger. But starting an exciting battle and then erasing it from the current timeline is disappointing and anticlimactic. With permadeath on, the player has to deal with consequences, which leads to great emergent stories and possible reversals of fortune. In Caves of Cud, my arrow flew towards a hostile snapjaw, but missed it and hit the peaceful giant beetle beside it. It turned its giant mandibles on me, so I activated sprint and legged it to the stairs. Safe in a hallway a whole floor up, I began to heal, but the thing jumped me around the corner like the bloody Terminator. With a dangerous warvine behind me and the mandibled monstrosity before me, I activated phase to slide through a wall and escape back down the stairs. But after a while it popped up again like a bloody horror movie. With it covering the stairs, I had nowhere to run but into the unexplored and dangerous darkness. But my beguile power came off cooldown. If it works, it makes enemies into friends. Cool, my very own Terminator. We became best buds for life, which admittedly wasn't very long for either of us. But if Cud had just let me rewrite history and undo that errant bowshot, I'd have had a much more boring adventure. I'd also have not much use for a cool power like phase. Necessity is the mother of players' inventions. Almost any solution can be made to work given infinite attempts at it. But with the threat of permadeath, every encounter has you stopping and thinking.
Oh, it's a fire crab. I don't think we can fight a fire crab.
You run simulations in your head, predict what enemies will do.
Can fire crabs open doors? I want to say no. How do you open a door with a claw?
There's lots of things you can try, but experimentation is dangerous when so many things can get you killed. Instead, you have to carefully plan out the situation before attempting any solutions.
So my plan here is we bring him out here into this room, we run around these statues, we run back in and we just shut the door. Come here, fire crab. Yes.
You don't discover strategies by trying everything, you create them from your own ingenuity. It forces you to play in a way that's less boring and more inventive. Sometimes it's clever thinking that gets you out of a jam, and sometimes it's the epic item you've been holding onto for just the right desperate occasion. You use everything at your disposal when you risk losing everything. Even the item that in regular games would be too good to use. I must have finished every Final Fantasy game with like 17 elixirs. having never used one. Except for screwing around, I've never used a mini nuke in a vanilla Fallout game, because I've never really needed to. Only in permadeath games do truly epic items have a proper use, because only permadeath games have truly epic stakes. A dragon fight isn't epic when you're guaranteed victory through infinite attempts. It might as well just be a bigger rat. The only way you can ever get a truly epic victory is when an epic fail is also on the cards. To be honest, a lot of action games with permadeath kinda miss out on several of its advantages. Although often you can see encounters beforehand and plan them out a bit, the fast pace and limited number of abilities means they're more about reflexes than ingenuity. You're expected to kill everything, often to the point of being locked in a room until you do. So there's never any enemy that's excitingly overpowered, nothing to use that epic item on, nothing to run after you as you flee for your life. Don't get me wrong, I love these games, but their permadeath is designed more for replayability's sake than for the changes it makes to their core gameplay loop. Prey Mooncrash actually does a decent job at it due to being based off an immersive sim. You've got enough time and enough stuff to come up with original solutions to interesting problems. There are genuinely scary enemies, overpowered but not impossible, and running away is always an option. But it does lack a little bit of replayability because there's no random generation in the environment. So if you want the best of what permadeath has to offer, bite the bullet and play a proper roguelike. They're not for everyone. They're hard work to get into and notoriously difficult to beat. But beating them is not really the point. I've played hundreds of hours of NetHack, Tome and Dungeon Crawl without even coming close to beating a single one of them. But I've enjoyed every single minute of all those games. Because I ran away, I cheated death, I reversed my fortune, I invented my own answers and had truly epic encounters. The risk of permanently dying makes the journey so much more interesting than the final destination might suggest. Thanks to Dungeon Crawl Let's Player Ultraviolent 4 for his footage. If you want to learn the game, you can check out his channel here. Special thanks to Brett for his great art again, you can check out his stuff here. If you're a fan of dying, hit the sub button, and if you want to lose everything, consider giving it to me on Patreon. Thanks.